The story kicks off with our main guy, Tojima, training deep in the woods. He's hammering a tree with punch after punch, yelling "Rider punch" every time, and the bark's just exploding off it. Ever since Tojima was a little kid, he's been obsessed with Kamen Rider. Kamen Rider was the hero of this TV show, and to Tojima, the dude was unmatched. He watched every single episode over and over until his mom started wondering if he was okay. Nothing else in the world mattered. The second his hero showed up on screen, Tojima was glued. He'd scream at the TV, cheering Rider on, telling him not to let Shocker win. Shocker was this huge evil organization, the big bad guys Rider fought every week. Even when his mom was heading out the door and saying goodbye, Tojima wouldn't blink, his eyes stayed locked on the screen. He was totally hooked and would even shout out Rider's moves, kick, punch, all of it. What Tojima loved most was how Rider always took on evil by himself, protecting world peace with a heart full of justice. Tojima swore one day he'd be exactly like him. He'd strike that same iconic pose and announce he was gonna become Kamen Rider. Fast forward years later, Tojima's now in high school. Some girl grabs his arm and drags him off, and he has zero idea what's going on. She finally works up the nerve, confesses she likes him, and asks him out. Tojima's brain short-circuits from the shock, but he snaps out of it and says yeah, he'd love to take her out. Then, out of nowhere, she apologizes it was all a prank. Tojima's crushed as the whole school bursts out laughing, and the bully Kagawa steps up bragging that the whole thing was his idea. The girl, Emily, is actually Kagawa's girlfriend. She lost a bet and had to fake confess to Tojima as punishment. Tojima just turns and walks away, totally humiliated, while the clueless girl actually looks kinda guilty. Later, when he's alone, Tojima flashes back to when he was a kid. He's watching a bunch of boys playing rock paper scissors. The winner got to be Rider, the losers had to be Shocker goons. Tojima just looked down on them. He already knew you couldn't become Kamen Rider by winning some dumb game. They were just silly kids pretending to be heroes, but Tojima never played pretend. He hit the classic pose and declared he was dead serious. Back in the present, Emily tracks Tojima down and apologizes for the prank. She's obviously upset, so Tojima lets it go. They start talking, and Emily admits there's something different about him. More than half the guys at school are total punks, but Tojima's not a delinquent at all. Still, she can tell he's not exactly normal either. He doesn't have any friends, and people have seen him down by the river yelling stuff and striking poses. Tojima doesn't know what to say, but he doesn't have to. This wild girl is totally fascinated by how mysterious he is. Right then, some jerk named Ryota walks up, asking if Emily dumped Kagawa and laughing at the thought of Tojima being her new boyfriend. He reminds Emily that Tojima's a total loser and says she might as well date him instead. Emily tells Tojima they should just go, but Ryota blocks her. Tojima steps in instantly, telling Ryota to let her go while twisting the guy's arm hard enough to make him scream. Ryota swings back, but Tojima's not someone you mess with, he blocks it effortlessly. Tojima lets him go, then says it's payback time and smashes Ryota square in the face with a brutal punch. Ryota's buddies jump in to back him up, but Tojima stops both of them at once. Once again he says payback time and drops them with two explosive kicks that send them straight to the ground. The bullies are writhing in pain, and Emily just stands there speechless, stunned by how strong Tojima is. Tojima stays ice cold like always and calmly explains he was only giving them what they gave him. Tojima walks off like a total badass, and Ryota, still sprawled on the ground, swears he'll make him pay. A few days later, Emily gets snatched by a pack of punks from the rival school. She screams her head off while Ryota yells up at the windows for Tojima to show his face. He officially declares war over the beatdown from before. Kids in the courtyard watch, frozen, whispering about what the hell Tojima even did. To top it off, none of Kagawa's crew showed up today, so there's no backup, and the teachers are just standing around useless. Doesn't matter, Tojima steps up anyway. Ryota's still burning from the humiliation and wants to pound Tojima into the dirt for good. Tojima, though, has a bigger problem with the whole situation. He calls them out. A bunch of teenagers scrapping isn't war. None of them have jobs, none of them are real adults yet. He's grossed out by kids who talk about rising to the top or having turf battles with other schools while they're still mooching food and cash off their parents, showering and sleeping under their roofs. He says bragging about war when you're that age is just pathetic and embarrassingly childish. If they're so desperate to fight, they should grow up and fight actual evil like he does. The whole crowd goes dead silent. Emily's eyes are sparkling, she's falling hard. Ryota's had enough trash talk. He and his entire crew rush Tojima all at once. Tojima doesn't flinch, he charges straight into them. Problem is, he's ridiculously outnumbered. They swarm him and beat him senseless. Emily can only watch in horror as Tojima throws up his arms, trying to block, but the gang doesn't let up until they're all worn out. Tojima's a bloody wreck, barely standing. Ryota smirks and says he's taking Emily as his trophy. She begs anybody to help, but the whole school just stands there, useless. In total despair, Emily screams Tojima's name. That cry snaps him awake. He forces himself back to his feet and roars for everyone to stop. Ryota's goons freeze, they were positive he was out cold. Tojima shrugs off his coat like it's nothing and tells them he never wanted to use this power on them, but they've left him no choice. He rips off his shirt. Ryota squints at the weird markings across Tojima's stomach, totally confused. Tojima hits the classic pose. Rider. Another pose. Transform. He leaps forward with insane intensity and bellows, "Rider fight." The entire courtyard stares in stunned silence. Tojima finishes the routine with a dramatic shout of "Kamen Rider." Nothing happens. The thugs burst out laughing, calling him a total nutcase. Ryota starts mocking him, "Big mistake." Tojima's next punch launches Ryota 10 feet through the air. Jaws hit the floor as the guy sails like a ragdoll. Seconds later, every single thug is down. Teachers, Kagawa, random students, everybody saw it and still can't believe their eyes. Emily's shaking, whispering, Who is he?" Tojima turns to her, dead serious, and says, "I'm Kamen Rider." For the first time, he actually smiles at her, walks over, and softly tells her everything's gonna be okay. Emily's reaction? Pure terror. She bolts, screaming, running for her life. Tojima's heart shatters on the spot. He realizes he was right all along, he never should have transformed. The only enemy he's supposed to fight is Shocker. Cut back to the present, Tojima's deep in the woods again, smashing a tree to splinters. He's not crazy, he knows Kamen Rider and Shocker were just a TV show. They're not real. No matter how hard he trains, he can't become Kamen Rider. The words burn in his head as he hammers the tree harder, angrier. "I can't become Kamen Rider. I can't become Kamen Rider." Then he hears something big crashing through the brush. A massive bear lumbers out. Tojima just sighs, disappointed it's not a Shocker monster. The bear charges. Tojima slams it into the dirt so hard the animal looks stunned, like it's wondering if this guy's even human. The bear slashes him across the chest, blood everywhere, but it's not enough. Somewhere along the way Tojima got strong enough to fight a damn bear. He proves it by driving his elbow straight into its eye socket. The bear yelps and books it out of there. Tojima doesn't even call it a win. Any normal person would be proud of surviving that, but it doesn't make him Kamen Rider. That's all he's ever wanted, and this is the year he turns 40. Later, Tojima's at a toy shop unloading box after box of rare Kamen Rider merch. The clerk's blown away, 6 boxes here, 10 more at home. Back at his place, every poster, figure, and tape is gone. The rooms are empty. He sold it all because the thought of dying alone surrounded by Kamen Rider stuff, only for some stranger to toss it in the trash after he's gone, was unbearable. Then one day he's floored by a news headline, Shocker appears in real life. His hands shake as he clicks the video. A convenience store got robbed by guys in black ski masks styled exactly like Shocker grunts, even making the same creepy noises from the show. Tojima's heart sinks, they just stole some cash and snacks. That's not the world-threatening evil Shocker did on TV. At work, co-workers are buzzing about more Shocker attacks popping up everywhere. Tojima refuses to believe it's the real thing. News reports roll in, one of the copycats got caught and said he only did it because he had the mask lying around. When he did the pose and made the noise, he suddenly felt powerful, like for the first time in his life he could actually do something. Tojima just mutters idiot under his breath. He's done with that world. One summer night, Tojima's at the local festival. A little boy begging his dad for cash hits him right in the chest, reminds him of when his own father handed him $30 and told him to buy whatever he wanted because he knew how much Tojima loved festivals. Tojima buys the same cheap snack he always got as a kid and stands there eating it, letting the nostalgia wash over him. Meanwhile, across town, a shady guy named Naka is handing out those exact black shocker masks to a crew of lowlife punks. He tells them tonight's gig is shaking down a festival booth. The punks are fine slipping the masks on, but one of them speaks up. The whole routine, the poses, the creepy yeeing noises is straight up mortifying. Naka couldn't care less. He admits he always rooted for Shocker over Kamen Rider as a kid, and that's literally why he became a criminal. The punks just stare at him like that's the lamest backstory they've ever heard. Naka shrugs and says in Shocker terms, he's the monster of the week and there is 3 grunt combatants, so they do what he says or else. Minutes later, the masked punks storm a food stall at the festival, trashing the place and roughing up the owner. It's the exact stall Tojima's standing in front of. He freezes actual Shocker grunts right here, in real life. The old man running the stall takes a fist to the gut, and something inside Tojima snaps. He walks over to the next booth, points at a cheap plastic Kamen Rider mask hanging with the toys, and quietly asks, "How much?" The punks keep beating on the owner. Tojima's hands are shaking. This is the life he swore he'd left behind. But he can't let Shocker win, not even once. 40 years of muscle memory flood back, every pose, every shout, every dream. He slips the mask over his face. His blood ignites. Heart hammering, he steps forward and growls, "That's enough, Shocker." The punks turn, confused. Who the hell's this clown? Tojima's voice cracks with tears he can't hold back. "I'm Kamen Rider." They start laughing, calling him a wannabe. Hidden in the crowd, Naka's eyes narrow, he's actually interested now. Tojima wipes his face under the mask. "I'm not joking." He drops into stance, roars Rider Punch, and caves in the first 2 skulls with one brutal swing each. The last guy, the biggest one, charges. Tojima leaps, spins midair, and screams Rider Kick. His foot connects like a cannon, dropping the thug cold. Dead silence. The whole festival is staring. The old stall owner's on his knees, bowing, crying, thanking him. Tojima looks around, every phone's out, every eye's on him, and bolts into the crowd before anyone can rip the mask off. Somewhere else, a furious girl slams her phone down on a news article. Mystery Kamen Rider stops real-life Shocker robbery. She's livid, this was supposed to be her debut. She's got the full armored suit, the bike, everything, and this loser's out there doing it in a $20 toy mask? Who does he think he is? Next morning, that same girl, Yuro, stands in front of a classroom full of kids, smiling sweetly as their substitute teacher, chalk in hand, perfectly calm. She recites a poem to her class, and one boy, Asano, hangs on her every word, totally captivated by her teaching skills. The poem's about a guy falling hard for another dude's wife, and she picks Asano to reword the closing line in today's lingo. This kid hasn't followed the lesson at all, so he totally mangles it. He claims the poem's hero confesses his feelings to his teacher, which misses the mark completely. Yuro gently sets him straight, and Asano's mortified as the whole room cracks up at him. Back at his place, Asano's overflowing with feelings, replaying how deep his crush on Yuro runs. He aches to be with her that instant and daydreams about all the classy stuff she must love in her downtime. He envisions them taking in stunning artwork or her tickling the keys on a grand piano. He pictures her poise shining through as she sips tea in her elegant backyard. His fantasies couldn't be more off base, though Yuro's pounding weights like a total beast. She snarls like some wild animal while heaving iron and stewing over that vanishing Kamen Rider. Yuro despises him down to her core for having the nerve to claim the title in just a cheap mask. A glimpse into her backstory shows young Yuro stumbling home in tears after getting picked on. Her dad asks why she didn't fight back, and she says it's cause the bullies were all guys. Seeing how tough that was for her, he figures he's got exactly what she needs. He pulls up a later season of Kamen Rider, spotlighting the newest hero, Stronger. Yuro has no idea why he's firing up some vintage TV, but he tells her to stick with it. In this story, a character named Yuro pops up, vowing to battle beside Stronger. He worries she's too fragile as a woman, but he's blown away when she unveils her change-up. This Yuro's the electric cyborg dubbed Tackle, built by the bad guys but flipping sides to join the fight. Her dad timed it perfectly. Tackle was the very first female fighter in the Kamen Rider saga. Little Yuro's glued from the jump, mesmerized as her new icon crushes wave after wave of shocker thugs. Tackle stood for justice, a fierce defender of the innocent, and Yuro idolized her endlessly. Naturally, that sparked endless drills of Tackle's electric wave toss, capped with her killer stance. Dad's right there coaching her through every bit, fine-tuning so she nails her hero to a T. He's a walking encyclopedia on all things Kamen Rider, with Tackle's every quirk locked in his brain. Some heroes trimmed their names for punch when introducing themselves, and Tackle did it as Tack. Yuro snaps to it quick, mimicking spot-on till her old man gives her top marks. One evening by herself, Yuro unleashes her electric wave toss on her arch-enemy, and oops, it topples a stack of tapes. One's episode 30 of Kamen Rider, a one she'd somehow skipped. Dying to catch her idol in fresh footage, Yuro hits play, but the title throws her, goodbye Tackle, her last stand. The story wrecks her. Tackle gets gravely hurt by a twisted dock. To shield Stronger and seal the win, she triggers her do-or-die move, the Ultra Cyclone. Yuro's freaking, barely processing, when boom, an inferno swallows Tackle whole, ending her. Seeing Tackle die guts young Yuro, the nightmare scars her deep, dragging her into a black hole of grief with zero way out. Eventually, Yuro's dad walks in from work and nearly drops his briefcase when he sees his little girl curled up on the floor, sobbing like the world ended. As she slowly pulls herself together from the emotional gut punch, all Yuro can choke out is why Tackle had to die and why Stronger couldn't save her. Her father kneels down and explains that the Ultra Cyclone wasn't some flashy finisher, it was a self-destruct built into her body. The monster that weak was too strong, and sacrificing herself was the only way Tackle could protect Stronger and win the fight. She lost her life, but she saved the day. Hearing that Tackle died protecting the man she fought beside finally brings Yuro a sliver of peace. Her dad wipes his own eyes and tells her Tackle was hands down the greatest heroine the show ever had. That's exactly why he named his daughter after her. Tackle stood for justice, never gave up no matter how bad it got, and kept fighting right to the last second. The speech stitches Yuro's shattered heart back together. A few days later, he unveils the surprise he's been working on, a perfect, kid-sized replica of Tackle's costume. He tells her Tackle isn't dead, she's standing right there in front of him. Yuro stares at the orange and yellow suit, tears streaming again, barely able to believe she's allowed to be her hero. Her dad's crying too as he says yes, she is Tackle. Something clicks inside her. She snaps into the signature pose, voice shaking with pride, Electrowave human. Tackle, and promises her father she'll carry the name from now on. She's been chasing that promise every single day since. Now 24, still teaching by day, still training by night, still burning to live up to the legend. But this new Kamen Rider running around in a plastic mask? She hates his guts. Fake. Phony. A total insult. She scrawls, I am Tackle number 2 and defeat the mask imposter all over her classroom chalkboard in giant letters. The kids just blink, completely lost. That same night, Naka gathers his crew and lays out the plan, 5 convenience stores, back to back. The punks groan, they're hitting places way too often and swear the cops are gonna nail them any day now. Naka shuts them up and says he's coming along tonight. They insist they've got it covered, but Naka gets this faraway look and starts monologuing. He's a fighter at heart, but the world doesn't have much use for guys like him anymore. Dragging these 3 idiots around in shocker masks is the closest he gets to feeling like a kid again. He always wanted to be one of those classic monsters, like Spider-Man from the original Kamen Rider series, but the punks just stare blankly. Speech over. Put some damn feeling into the act this time, he snaps, and they roll out. Meanwhile, Asano finally works up the nerve and blurts out to Yuro that he likes her, then keeps repeating it like a broken record because he can't believe he actually said it. Yuro freezes, totally stunned that one of her students just confessed to her. Right then, half a block away, Naka and his goons burst into the first convenience store. Sirens wail almost instantly, cops are already closing in. The punks freak, but Naka just smirks, walks straight up to the first officer through the door, and decks him cold. Asano's still rambling about his feelings, oblivious, while Yuro's eyes go wide watching actual shocker grunts demolish police like it's nothing. The punks hesitate. Boss, beating up cops might be a bad idea? But Naka's already heading for store number 2. Yuro realizes they're about to vanish into the night. These have been her prey her whole life. She ditches the lovesick kid mid-sentence and sprints after them. Across town, Tojima's staring at the news article about Kamen Rider's Festival Heroics, still half convinced it was a dream, when the exact same shocker crew barrels past him on the street. His blood roars. He shouts, "Shocker!" They turn, confused. Who's this random middle-aged dude? Tojima facepalms, drops into a crouch behind a parked car, yanks the cheap plastic mask from his pocket, slaps it on, throws the iconic pose and yells, "Transform," like the last 40 years never happened. The punks spot him right away as the dude who thrashed them last time, and Naka's face twists with pure rage. Tojima belts out that he's Kamen Rider, the raw feeling hitting him like a freight train as tears well up again. He shouts that he's been hunting them down, but all the goons can focus on is how he's bawling like a baby. Off to the side, Asano's sprinting after the girl of his dreams, but she's laser-locked on her mark. Things go off the rails even more for her when she clocks the one person she loathes above all, the hack who stole her thunder by dropping those shocker lowlifes she was meant to handle first. And the worst part? He's this bargain bin fake rider strutting around in nothing but a flimsy mask. Crimes like that can't stand, so she swears she'll shut him down. Meanwhile, Tojima's geared up for the fight and taunts the shocker crew to come at him. Yuro sees right through it. He's poaching her targets again, and she's not about to let that slide. She calls out his name to throw him off, and in a move that flips his world upside down, she starts stripping down in front of God and everybody. Nothing trumps her mission, so she slips into her tackle gear and tosses her bag to Asano with a quick "hold this." Tojima's done waiting for Shocker to make a move. He figures he'll kick things off and wrap their rampage for good. He winds up big, yelling "Rider punch!" But Yuro cuts him short, her strike launching him through the air. The Shocker thieves are totally lost, and Yuro nails the classic stance, proclaiming herself the Electrowave human tackle. Nobody's more floored than Tojima, who clocks her instantly as the tackle from the series, as she roars that tackle lives on. The punks snicker, asking if her body's the only thing that grew up cause her head's still stuck in kid mode. One dangles some candy like a joke, but Yuro proves it's no laughing matter. She hoists him overhead, leaving Tojima slack-jawed, then unleashes her electro death throw, hurling the guy right into his buddies. The whole street gawks as Yuro mops up the bad guys single-handed. She darts back for her bag while Asano stammers his thanks for letting him witness the magic. She hisses at him to zip it, no real names, and he swears he'll guard her secret with his life. Yuro vanishes into the night like a true hero, and Asano yells after her that he's in love. Naka yanks off his mask, pissed at the chick crashing his party, and snarls at Tojima that their beef ain't settled. Tojima fires back that she clocked him too, but chatter dies quick as cop sirens echo closer. Naka just mutters he always dug Shocker more anyway and bails with his squad. Tojima peels off his mask, staring after the mystery girl. She's an enigma, but something about her hooks him deep. This chick's got a tackle obsession that rivals his writer fixation, hell, maybe tops it. Come morning, Yuro's beaming at the headlines, finally shouting out tackle. Later, Naka rounds up his beaten crew. One eyes the weird thing in his hand and asks what it is. Naka grins and says he scored a monster mask on clearance, jazzed it up Shocker style. He straps it on and freezes his guys solid as he booms that it turns him into Yakuza Man, the Beast. He asks how he pulls it off, but they're too stunned to speak. Naka's dead serious, though, with riders and a tackle out there, there's gotta be space for a monster like Yakuza Man. He says they're back on the job tonight, and the punks pray he doesn't mean what they dread. No such luck, Naka lays it out, another convenience store hit. Over at Rose Mart, a live streamer's hyping his chat, bragging he's dropping 100,000 yen on junk food cause it's prime viral bait. He clears a whole aisle in seconds.
Right on cue, the shocker crew bursts in.
They scare the hell out of everyone while Naka barks at the cashier to empty the register. The girl just shrieks for help, rooted to the spot.
Naka rolls his eyes. Why not just bolt?
The streamer ducks behind a display and, instead of lifting a finger, tweaks his stream title to Live, Shocker Heist Gone Wild. He's betting on a viewer flood, and sure enough, one goon clocks him.
The punk gripes the kid's hoarding too many chips, but the streamer bullshits it's his dinner.
The thug warns he'll balloon up, streamer shoots back he's already there. It's tense as hell, the kid's one wrong move from disaster, but he's thrilled, chat exploding.
Clips hit news feeds, and thousands pile in. He's closing on 100,000 viewers, thinking this is his big break, baby.
Close by, Tojima's glued to the stream on his phone, just as fueling his sprint to the scene. He spots some random woman booking it alongside him, and they both rack their brains. Where do I know her from?
Back inside the store, a customer lays into Naka for being a pain in the ass.
The streamer's in heaven, this drama's gold. Naka demands the guy's deal, but he coolly says he's just the one telling them to knock it off. The goons scoff if he fancies himself a hero, but they're way off. The dude nails the shocker stance and morphs on the spot.
Naka and his crew gape like they've seen a ghost. This is the real deal they've been faking.
The streamer's speechless too, and our two heroes freeze in horror at this new player.
The guy's sick of all the shocker knockoff chatter lately and calls Naka's bunch straight up frauds. He tells them to perk up their ears for the genuine article's roar. Our duo rolls up to the robbery chaos, and Tojima slips away smooth as silk with a quick "excuse me." He doesn't want his identity to be found out, so he crouches down to put his mask on and declares that his transformation is complete. Yuro is horrified as she just now realizes that the guy who has been calling himself Kamen Rider has appeared. Tojima dramatically turns to announce his arrival, but Yuro angrily interrupts him.
She declares that what he does is nothing like Kamen Rider, and she strips down to show him how it's done.
Yuro puts on her entire uniform and announces that she's the electro-human tech.
Tojima is shocked to see the tackle from the other day, and she points out that Tojima is just a middle-aged guy that wears a cheap mask. Tojima can only wonder how she's not ashamed of wearing a full uniform like she does, but she isn't ashamed at all. Of this small moment makes Tojima realize that he isn't really ashamed either. Just then, the robbers come crashing out of the store after being punched by the shocker member. The streamer can't believe that he's getting such great content for his stream, but he gets taken away by someone. Naka is left standing in utter disbelief, and he can only tremble as he wonders who this guy is. He can only wonder if this guy is a real-life shocker from the original show, and the guy simply confirms that he is.
Naka is now the one to tear up as he has always admired Shocker since he was a kid. Naka begins to tell his childhood story and how he was inspired by Shocker to become a gang boss. But the guy doesn't care for even a second. He doesn't waste any time and just kicks Naka into the ceiling. He stands menacingly as Naka's body swings in the air, and Yuro is unsure about what to make of the situation. She's surprised, though, to see that Tojima's in tears. He loves all things Kamen Rider, and seeing the real deal Shocker is an unbelievable situation. Tojima instantly gets into his attack stance because having a real Shocker in front of him means that the guy will be able to take his most powerful attacks. He unleashes his Rider Punch as the Kamen Rider theme song plays in his head. And the shock is in disbelief as he must protect himself from the attack. He becomes infuriated, however, so he fires back. His punch sends Tojima crashing to the ground in dramatic fashion, but this just makes Tojima even more emotional. This is like a scene straight out of the Kamen Rider show, and having everything so real leaves him in shock. Tojima dramatically tells the Shocker to get ready for his next attack, but Yuro punches him away because she wants a turn. She announces that she's nothing like the Kamen Rider wannabe, and instead she's proof that Tackle still lives. Yuro charges in while saying that she's tackled too, and she instantly starts by dodging the guy's attack. She follows it up with a crazy powerful counter, but the Shocker's no ch throws a terrifying kick himself, but he's stunned when Yuro manages to dodge it. She follows that up with a perfect form pile driver that is called the Electro Wave Throw, and she smashes him into the ground. Tojima jumps back into the fight at this moment and uses Rider Kick to crush a Shocker's insides. Yuro shocked to see such a powerful attack, and she wonders if they really just beat a real-deal Shocker. She quickly becomes upset as she wishes that Tojima didn't step in,
but the lights go out in the store. A mysterious man appears and he expresses his disbelief to see that some ordinary humans are capable of beating a combatant. Our heroes have no clue who this terrifying guy is, but he has some kind of power emanating from his body. He's capable of some real strange things as he drops the streamer's body and it turns to a pile of mush. Our heroes are then horrified as the guy's mouth opens to reveal that he's some kind of monster.
A dart then flies out of his mouth and it hits the shocker combatant, corroding him as well.
The guy takes a moment to consider doing the same to Naka, but decides against it because getting rid of too many of them could cause problems for him later. Our heroes are in complete disbelief as this guy leaves and they both realize that he was the most real member of Shocker that they have encountered. Afterwards, our heroes reveal their true identities to each other. Yuro points out that running around with just a mask pretending to be Kamen Rider is unacceptable for a 40-year-old like Tojima. She says that it's something that only a child should be doing, but Tojima proudly declares that his heart is more Kamen Rider than any child could ever be. Yuro doesn't even know how to respond to that insane statement. However, she is grateful for this ridiculous conversation. It's helping her to avoid fixating on what they just witnessed. Shocker is more real than they ever could have imagined, and they also just beat one of their combatants. Worst of all, that one guy was a real-life monster, but Yuro still can't wrap her head around it. Just then, our heroes are surprised when their waiter knows exactly what they're talking about. He was watching the stream when it all went down, and he introduces himself as Mitsuba. He's actually the manager of this restaurant, and he reveals that he's just like the two of them. They're all birds of the same feather, and he knew that the second they walked through the door with their disguises on. Arrow clarifies that they aren't cosplayers or anything, but Mitsuba already knows. He could tell how serious they are by the conversation they were having, so that is why he has decided to tell them something. Mitsuba confirms that Shocker very much does exist and explains that he's one of the few witnesses to their evil. Mitsuba offers to tell them his story, but warns that it's very long. He explains that it covers his entire life from childhood all the way up to right now. And it would probably be enough information to fill 5 entire novels worth of text. It would take 3 hours to tell in conversation, but that could turn to 6 hours if he got carried away explaining everything. Tojima is very eager to listen to every single detail, but Yuro thinks that this would be a good time for her to head home. Unfortunately, Mitsuba has already started telling a story, and we see that a mysterious girl is watching them. Mitsuba explains that it all started when he was 6 years old. There was a house that he and his brother used to pass every day on their way home from school, and this place was a neglected property. It was a garden house overrun with fruit, so tomatoes and watermelons were growing all over the place. One day, they were terrified by some guy that came out of this house, but he just offered them some vegetables. Mitsuba and his brother loved the taste of the tomatoes, so the man offered to keep giving them more whenever they wanted to stop by. Unfortunately, the guy's neighbors didn't like his house so much, so they began filing complaints about how all his fruits were attracting unwanted animals and their waste. The guys that came to inform him were terrified of thieves there, so they left and just told him to clean things up. Mitsuba and his brother would then come by because by this point, they had gotten used to trying all the fruits and vegetables that the man had to offer. However, the man was also being told to get rid of all his plants by some thugs. It's unclear why they were so upset, but they even threatened to burn all his plants to the ground along with the entire house. The man didn't pay any attention to their threats, however, and instead he just offered to let them eat as much as they wanted of whatever fruit or vegetable that he had. The guys were furious as they reminded the man how serious they were. The man's entire life was in danger and they said that they didn't want any of his stupid vegetables. The man assumed that they just weren't fans of vegetables, so he offered them some pimmons instead. The thug angrily repeated what he just said, but stopped as he remembered that pimmons are actually pretty good. He gave one a try and was amazed by how delicious it was. The other thug joined him and their lives were changed forever. Just then, Yuro interrupts the lovely story and reminds Mitsuba that he was supposed to tell them about Shocker. Mitsuba, however, is a fan of good storytelling, and he reminds his listeners that a good introduction is the best way to get people more interested in the story. Mitsuba continues just after the thugs finished enjoying the tasty fruit. The man told them that they could come back whenever they wanted, but one of the thugs just punched him instead. The kids were shocked, and the thug explained that the quality of the fruit didn't matter, The man's neighbors paid them to threaten him, but the thug wanted him to know that it wasn't actually personal.
As a thanks for the fruit, the men decided to come back the next day to handle business.
But the man had already made his decision. He knew that he could no longer live in the house, and the thugs were glad that he was finally beginning to understand. It turns out that they were the ones that were misunderstanding, however, as the man explained that he would burn his own house down along with the thugs. Themon's demeanor completely changed in that very moment as he repeated that everything had to burn, including the thugs.
Everyone involved was then completely stunned as he transformed into a real shocker.
The thugs still tried to fight him but only ended up getting destroyed. Mitsuba and his brother hid in terror, and the guy calmly just went back to his house. The shocker combatant immediately set his house on fire with a huge explosion, so the kids woke the thugs up so they could all get away.
Tojima is left speechless as Mitsuba explains that it was his first encounter with Shocker and it began his lifelong search for them. Mitsuba then explains that it only gets more dramatic from there. Yuro can't believe that there's even more to his story, but Tojima's at the edge of his seat, waiting to hear what happens next. Just then, one of Mitsuba's employees reminds him that sitting around with customers is not proper manager behavior.
Mitsuba obediently agrees to go back to working when she tells him to, and he explains to our heroes that he's actually dating that girl. Mitsuba assumes that his girlfriend is just jealous because of how attractive Yuro is, but Tojima says that they didn't really need to know all that. Mitsubatos have one last important thing to tell them. He reveals that Shocker has already infiltrated human society to a very considerable degree, and they could be anywhere. Tojima has never felt more alive after hearing all this, and Yuro agrees that they will need to fight Shocker because she is tackle. Tojima becomes nervous as he asks if she wants to hear his backstory as well, but Yuro's not interested. She's calling it a day, but first Tojima asks her to exchange contact information. He makes it clear that it's only for professional reasons as they will both be fighting Shocker, but he's clearly nervous. Nearby, Mitsuba apologizes to Yukariso as she appears to be upset about him enjoying himself with some random people. She simply wonders if he actually loves her. So when he says yes, she happily returns to work.
Deep down, Mitsuba apologizes because he can't tell Yukariso the truth. He doesn't want her getting hurt, and if anything, he wants to fight Shocker to protect her. Yukariso happily runs away, completely oblivious to what he's thinking, but she then gets very serious for a moment. Back at school, Asano listens to Yuro as she teaches her class about some poem. This makes him think back to the best day of his life, and he wonders if it was all a dream. It was when Yuro transformed right in front of him, and he reminds himself that it couldn't have been a dream because people were talking about it online. The thought of him being the only one that knows her secret makes him go even crazier, and things take a crazy turn in his mind. Imagines himself asking for things in return for keeping her secret. The fictional Yuro wonders what kind of things he's talking about, but Asano responds in real life by saying that he wants all kinds of stuff. Of course, Noon has any clue what he's talking about, so the entire class laughs at him. Later, Asano decides that he needs to be more confident, but he notices that Yuro is talking to someone inside of the gym storage room. The conversation is a bit uncomfortable as Yuro tells the girl to release her hand. The girl confesses her love for Yuro, shocking both her and Asano. The girl can tell that Yuro doesn't recognize her, so she changes her hair and reveals that she's Yukariso from the restaurant. Yukariso completely changes her tone and demands to know what Yuro is planning to do with her boyfriend. Yukariso calls Mitsuba stupid for obsessing over Kamen Rider and Shocker and for betting his entire life on proving that Shocker is real. According to her, he's decently attractive, which makes him pretty popular, but girls never talk to him more than once. There hasn't been a single time that a girl has ever spoken to him twice, and she wonders if Yuro can guess why. Ero doesn't respond, so Yukariso explains that it's because she always beats the life out of them. This girl then explains that while she hates how obsessed Mitsuba is about Shocker, she loves him the most when he rants about them. Yuro has no clue what this girl even means, so she just tells her that it's information that Yukariso needs to keep to herself. Yukariso laughs like an absolute psychopath, so Yuro begins to leave. But the crazy girl has one more thing to say. She reveals that the best part about all of this is that Mitsuba is incredibly obsessed with bringing Shocker down, but he doesn't realize that his own girlfriend is a member. This stops Yuro in her tracks, and she's stunned when Yukariso transforms.
She's in the classic pose, and she tells Yuro that it's time for her life to end.
Asano completely loses his mind after seeing a real transformation, but his girly scream gets him caught. Yukariso realizes that they just saw her real identity and determines that his life must end as well.
Luckily for him, Yuro is always ready to transform, and she tells Yukariso that no one's life will be ending today.
Yuro introduces herself as the Electrode of human tech, but Yukariso just mocks her uniform.
She declares that a costume won't help Yuro survive, but Yuro kicks her straight across the room. Yuro sends Asano home, but Yuro refuses to let him live after seeing her secret. She announces that she will be taking both of their pitiful human lives, but Yuro points out that her little boyfriend is also human. Yukariso's voice changes back to her girly self to say that he doesn't count, but she instantly goes back to fighting like a brute. Her punches are ferocious, and Yuro can only survive by dodging and blocking one with her foot. Yukariso can't believe that Yuro is managing to survive for so long, so she reminds Yuro that she's just a human. Yukariso plans to end the fight with her next punch, but Eureka only fakes like it hits her. In reality, she uses Yukariso's own attack to gain leverage, and Lai declares that her next move is called the Electro Wave Throw. The attack is incredibly powerful as she slams Yukariso into the ground head first. Elsewhere, Tojima gets a workout in, but he's interrupted by a message from Yuro, asking him to help her with something. Later, our heroes bring Yukariso's unconscious body to Mitsuba. He can't tell who it is though, so Yuro reveals that his girlfriend is actually part of Shocker. Mitsuba doesn't really believe it at first, but her face is clearly the same, and he is horrified. Yuro can't even imagine the pain he must be in after finding out that someone he loved is in Shocker. But they also can't believe that he never noticed. In Mitsuba's shock, he reveals that Shocker is also his entire family's nemesis. Tojima is incredibly intrigued by this new detail. So Mitsuba determines that they will just have to tell them the next part of his story. It's called Mitsuba His Brother in Shocker, the monster encounter arc. Tojima can't wait to hear it, but Yuro just hopes that he gets to the point this time. Mitsuba then goes on to explain that after learning about Shocker during the summer, he and his brother went to stay with his grandparents. One night, some robbers came out of nowhere and beat up their grandpa. The robbers argued over how to tie him up, but Mitsuba's brother was becoming furious after seeing what they did to his grandpa. His brother's name is Ikkyo, and his entire body was filled with rage. Ikkyo then showed some insane fighting skills as he started to beat the life out of the robber. The robber eventually had enough, however, and he revealed that he was a Shocker combatant. This was the brother's second encounter with the Shocker, however, so felt no fear. His powerful attacks pushed the Shocker back, but the Shocker was relentless with his counter-punch. Mitsuba took a punch as well, and the family was tied up. The robbers were wanted criminals because they had just committed another crime, but the woman couldn't understand something. The guy was a Shocker combatant, but he was doing crimes with a human like her. She didn't know why he would want a hat though, because that would mean that both the cops and Shocker would come after him. The guy didn't really care, however, as he just thought that they made a cool team like Bonnie and Clyde. Unfortunately for them, their little fantasy would come to a terrible end as Mitsuba's grandmother returned home. Ikkyo quickly informed her that they were getting robbed, and the robber was stunned to see just how huge this granny was. This granny punched a rake into the robber's shoulder and she entired her family. She began to drag the robbers out of her home, but the guy transformed back into a combatant. Ikkyo wanted to rush to help his grandma, but good old grandpa explained that she could handle herself pretty well. They were shocked, however, when they heard a terrifying noise. They rushed outside, and what they saw next would traumatize the boys for life. A massive beast had massacred all three of them, including Grandma. Grandpa was absolutely horrified to see the lifeless body of the woman he loved. He called out to her and angrily charged at the beast. Of course, he was no match for this creature, so he easily disposed of him with a single attack. The brothers were frozen with terror, and the beast simply lamented how things turned out to be Amos. He saw the boys, but just called them brats, and he flew away. The brothers were completely powerless, and all they could do was sob for their deceased loved ones. Mitsuba says that he can't be sure, but that beast was most likely a Shocker monster. Just then, a voice confirms that his grandparents were eliminated by Shocker. His entrance is just as dramatic as those of our heroes, and Yuro can't believe the aura that he is radiating. Mitsuba reveals that this is his brother, Aio, and he asked them to come meet our heroes. Suddenly, Mitsuba realizes that something terrible might happen. The brothers have desperately sought revenge against Shocker their entire lives. So, Mitsuba doesn't know what his brother will do if he sees Yukariso in her Shocker form. It will surely be a disaster, so he decides to try and hide it. Akiolai says the word hurricane as he takes to the sky and Hellands in the most dramatic way possible. Our heroes introduce themselves and things become very tense when Tojima reveals that they have fought Shocker before. Akio seems almost angry after hearing this and he demands to know who they really are. Yuro can't understand why he's acting this way, but Tojima knows just what to do. Akio then watches in amazement as Tojima does the legendary pose while saying Rider Transform. Akio can hardly contain himself as he witnesses this amazing transformation and Tojima tops it off by putting his mask on while announcing that he's Kamen Rider. Akio quickly collects himself however as he has a question to ask.
It's simple really. So just asks who Tojima considers to be the strongest Kamen Rider. Tojima doesn't even hesitate as he begins to say that it's the original, but Akio interrupts him. He does the Kamen Rider pose himself in spectacular fashion. Both does transformation V3. Akio then declares that the strongest Kamen Rider is actually V3. Tojima, of course, has a major problem with this, so he tells Akio that he'd better be ready to back up those words. The others are then shocked when Tojima challenges him directly, and Yuro can't even understand what's going on. Akio explains that a mask won't make anyone the real Kamen Rider and he doesn't need anything like that. He doesn't wear any kind of costume at all and just does the iconic V3 pose. His glare is very intense and he asks Tojima if he can see V3. Tojima looks at him very closely and is absolutely shocked when he realizes that Akio is actually able to embody V3 even without any uniform at all. Tojima declares that he really can see him, but Yuro just thinks that they're both crazy. Ikayathan dramatically explains that after his grandparents were brutally taken from him, he abandoned his humanity and dedicated his entire being to vengeance. Nothing ever mattered more to him than making sure that the culprits would someday face justice. It was only through this grueling process that his soul itself became V3. Akio has earned Tojima's respect, but that doesn't mean that V3 is the strongest. All it means is that their fight will be a dream match between the first rider and V3. The two guys prepare for battle, but Yuro still can't understand why they want to fight in the first place. Tojima starts by using his signature rider punch, but he's shocked when Akio uses a punch to deflect him. Yuro is amazed by the incredible technique, but Tojima can't even understand what just happened. Akio explains that V3 was given the combined powers of Kamen Riders 1 and 2. Ichi is of course a huge fan, so he wouldn't have taken the name if he didn't live up to it. That's why he went to great lengths to learn all manner of martial arts. When it comes to Tojima, however, Akio can tell by his one attack that Tojima's fighting style is self-taught. Akio then declares that the gap between them is insurmountable and Tojima is simply not a match for him. Because of these words, Yuro decides that she will have to be the next to fight Akio. Yuro prepares to strike her pose, but she's interrupted by the infuriated Tojima. His demeanor has completely changed after having his honor insulted, so he tells Yuro to stay out of this matter. The rage is clear in his eyes as he declares that this fight is his and his alone. Yuro actually regrets getting caught up in the action and Ikki is shocked when she changes back to her normal clothes. She allows them to continue, but Ichio is still stunned by what he saw. Tojima is in no mood for games, however, so he lands a direct punch on Ikkio's face. He reminds Ikkio to focus on his opponent and goes in for another rider punch. Ikkio wonders if that is really the only move he knows and he easily dodges it. Tojima manages to land one of the punches, however, and Ikkio stunned by how heavy his fist is. There is a ton of power behind his punch and Tojima lands several more of them. Ikkio, however, has some crazy acrobatic moves and one of them is called the V3 tailspin kick. This attack marvels everyone watching. Buchio can't believe his eyes when he sees that Tojima just took it hidden and blocked it. It's in this very moment that I realizes something and he backs away. He's still in disbelief and he wonders if Tojima is someone with the same kind of soul Ashim.
This interesting development gets him even more fired up for their battle, but everything comes to a grinding halt when Yukariso wakes up. It takes Akio a little too long, but he eventually fixes his eyes onto her shocker belt. This is Mitsuba's worst nightmare as Ichiro realizes that she is part of Shocker and he loses his mind. Yukariso is horrified to see that she's still in her Shocker form, but it's too late to do anything as the furious Ikyo charges at her. He puts all his vengeful rage behind this one single punch, but he's stunned when his own brother stops him. The confused Ikyo creates some distance and demands for his brother to explain why he's defending a Shocker. Mitsuba understands what she is, but he also explains that Yukariso is his girlfriend. Yukariso ends up being more horrified than anyone as she realizes that Mitsuba knows her secret. Ikyo has never been angrier after hearing this, so he can't even really believe it and he tells Mitsuba to say it again. Mitsuba doesn't back down for even a second though and once again says that Yukariso may be a Shocker, but she's still his girlfriend. This is music to the ears of Yukariso as she begins to blush and she also tells Mitsuba to say it again. Mitsuba bravely says it for a third time. So Yukariso tells him that she loves him more than anything. Ikyo watches in horror but Yukariso explains that she has something else to say. Mitsuba knows her identity now, so what they were doing cannot continue. Her mission as a member of Shocker was to approach those who knew of their existence and monitor them. If he had any comrades, then it was her job to make sure that they took any knowledge they had directly to their graves. Unfortunately, Yukariso must do her job. So, she sends out a signal. This signal is received by several normal-looking people all across the city, but they all transform as they rush to Yukariso's location. Our heroes are then stunned as they find themselves surrounded by several Shocker combatants. Yukariso apologizes to her beloved Mitsuba as she begins to cry and Mitsuba struggles to understand what is happening. Yukariso tells him one last time that she loves him but declares that his life must now end. Yukariso cries even more as she tells Mitsuba that she truly did love him. She says sorry, though, because she just can't feel that way about him anymore. The Shocker grunts all rush in together, forcing our heroes to jump into action right away. Yukariso's totally blindsided as the two common riders start mopping up her Shocker crew. Yuro shifts forms in a flash too and dives into the fray with a crushing hook. Yukariso's freaking out since nothing's playing out like she expected, and the good guys are straight up owning the fight. Yukariso starts unraveling because she had zero idea Mitsuba's buddies were these ridiculously badass heroes. Tojima unleashes his classic kick while Yuro flings bad guys left and right with her electro wave toss. In mere moments, the brawl's done and Yukariso's reeling, trying to wrap her head around what hit her. These folks look like regular humans, yet they just demolished a full Shocker team. Ikyo calls out that she's the last one standing to take down, but Mitsuba steps up to shield her once more. Nobody gets why he's still got her back, but Mitsuba begs the group for a second alone to hash things out with Yukariso. He's floored though when Ikyo flat out says no. Ikyo's after the truth, so he presses Mitsuba on whether he plans to marry this Shocker fighter. The question hits everyone like a bomb, but to Ikyo, it's cut and dry. He figures any guy and girl hanging together means wedding bells, though he admits that view's a bit basic. Mitsuba was banking on some compromise, but Ikyo insists there's no such thing. It's marry her or don't, that's the deal. Mitsuba scrambles for an escape route, but Ikyo lays it out, pick one or the other. Mitsuba floats the middle ground pitch again, which just earns him a fist from his brother. Ikyo yells for Mitsuba to decide now, but a new voice cuts in. Our heroes go rigid, realizing it's that monster from before. He's wondering how many grunts they've dropped, but they're stunned to learn this dude's an actual living Shocker beast. Even Yukariso's scared stiff as she spills that he's her boss. Ikyo demands proof this guy's legit evil, but the monster's got zero patience for chit-chat. He pegs Ikyo as the sort who stirs up chaos wherever he lands, and he's dead certain Ikyo's a total amateur on basic courtesy. It's clear this creep's bad news at minimum. So Ikyo shocks the hell out of everybody by clocking him square in the jaw. Huge error, the monster morphs fully and hurls Ikyo like trash. The impact's insane, and Ikyo barely shakes it off. Mitsuba couldn't give a damn about the rest, he just swears to Yukariso he'll keep her safe, come what may. He hasn't really flexed any muscle yet, so Yukariso's caught off guard,
and Matsuba just bolts. Yukarisa's totally baffled cause she's straight up shocker, but Matsuba's still hellbent on shielding her for whatever reason. Ikkyo shifts into V3 mode and warns the beast it's go time for real. The rest of the crew's geared up to jump in too, but Ikkyo waves them off, he's got this solo. They start bickering over who gets first crack at the monster, but the beast lets out this eerie cackle. Ikkyo clocks it as laughter and loses it, charging headfirst in a fury. He unleashes his V3 rocket kick, but the beast snags it midair with one hand like it's nothing. Ikkyo's mind reels, no one's ever blocked that before, and the beast flips the script hard. It slams him toward the pavement, and Ikkyo flashes on whether this is it, his end. Lucky break, Tojima yanks him clear at the last split second, and Yuro exploits the opening to rush in. She actually latches onto the beast, but it spins her momentum right back at her. Tojima's rider punch lands solid, drawing some blood, but the monster shakes it off like a flea bite. Its payback's a monster truck of force though, smashing Tojima straight through a wall. Ikkyo rallies and presses the assault, gaining ground. A flurry of his chops hammer the beast's throat, and finally he cleaves right across its mug. Jaws hit the dirt as the real horror underneath peels free. No kaiju's ever felt this legit. Yukarisa spills that he's dubbed Spider-Man. The spider growls they're forcing his hand and questions why the fight stalled. Our heroes are paralyzed in fear, so the spider asks real polite if he can take the lead. Ikkyo's shaking too bad to spit out a word, so the spider announces he'll be the next to get his dome cracked. Ikkyo snaps back just in time to weave the strike and realizes how razor-close death brushed him. The blast carves a massive pit in the asphalt, but the spider's far from finished. It lunges for Ikkyo again, and this time there's no dodge. The hit's a guaranteed killshot, but out of nowhere, a steel cable whips in and snares the beast tight. The monster thrashes but can't break loose, and the whole squad's gobsmacked to see Matsuba's the one who roped it. Yukarisa had no clue Mitsuba packed that kinda heat. And our heroes can't wrap their heads around how that scrawny punk from earlier morphed into yet another badass. Mitsuba's radiating pure swagger now. Tojima pieces it together, he's the legend Riderman. Riderman was the fourth rider in the lineup, debuting in Kamen Rider V3. Matsuba boasts he shifted forms off to the side, but Yukarisa calls bullshit, saying he just swapped outfits. The kid doubles down that it was a legit transformation and fires off another cable from his gadget to lock the beast down for good. Ikkyo ain't blind, though he knows they're outgunned as is. He calls for pullback, and Yuro's right there with him. Yukarisa shrieks as the spider strains against the bind, but Matsuba tells her to chill. That cable's rated for a pair of tanks yanking opposite ways, so they bought a narrow window to bail. Matsuba says it's escape time for them, but she's still hung up on something. He figures she's floored by his ride or die vibe for her, but not she's just side-eyeing why he's Riderman. Matsuba's face lights up, misreading it as her prying into his origin. Kid loves a solid lore dump, and Yuro's like, you've gotta be kidding me, not now. Too late, he's off, it's called Me and My Brother's Rider Saga, the rivalry chapter. He kicks it off by recapping how Kamen Rider V3 lost his folks and baby sis to a monster rampage. He got mangled bad too, so he pledged payback on Shocker. That fire drove him to the ultimate trade-off, letting Riders 1 and 2 rebuild him as a cyborg to throw down with the beasts himself. The brothers saw their own ghosts in V3's tail, they'd lost their family to monsters too. They'd reenact episodes non-stop, but Matsuba burned with envy cause Ikkyo hogged V3 every time. Matsuba begged to play V3 too, but Ikkyo shut it down, only room for one. Ikkyo did toss him a bone, but only if Matsuba could smoke him in a scrap. Matsuba couldn't believe this was his shot, so he dove in reckless. He barreled at Ikkyo wide open and ate a counter hard. Lights out for Matsuba, and Ikkyo laid it straight, kids got miles to go before tangling with the real V3. From then on, it was war over V3 duties. Even grown, Matsuba needled him on the old deal. He'd hammer that beating Ikkyo meant claiming V3. Ikkyo always took the bait, and their clashes ramped up fierce with age. Eventually, Matsuba started holding his own, even mixing in fresh martial arts that had Ikkyo on his heels. Ikkyo was a black belt in the game too, though, so dust-ups always deadlocked. They'd grind way past empty tanks, and one marathon bout stretched forever.
At the end, Matsuba begged Ikkyo to hand over V3 just once, but Ikkyo stayed ice cold.
He said devotion decides the winner, and that crown's mine. Then he slapped Riderman on Matsuba as a pity pick and tagged his arm with a chop to drive it home. That's me being nice. As Matsuba came to, he told his brother he couldn't wrap his head around that kindness. He figured there was nothing nice about snapping his kid brother's arm. Ikkyo handed over the Rider mask as his big reveal, but Matsuba still wasn't getting it. The point was Matsuba could never take V3's spot, but he could ride as his sidekick, Riderman. That landed like a letdown, but Ikkyo pointed out he was the big bro by 5 whole years. It just fit Matsuba stepping up second, as Riderman was this genius scientist, but a creep called General Shadow got jealous of his brainpower. The fiend rigged his ruin and melted his right arm in a tub of acid. His fellow eggheads who idolized him rebuilt him via surgery into a cyborg, birthing Riderman. Matsuba got it then, that's why Ikkyo targeted the arm, but it still didn't feel kind. Ikkyo broke it down more. To go full Riderman, Matsuba'd have to ditch his right arm, just like the original. But since the kid's right-handed, Ikkyo hit the left instead, leaving his strong side intact. He could keep using it for daily stuff and actually channel the real Riderman. Matsuba started quaking as he thanked Ikkyo for sparing his money arm. Truth was, he was boiling mad, so he dished back some kindness with a haymaker to Ikkyo's jaw. That wraps the tale, but Eucharis left wondering if Matsuba's truly cool settling for Riderman over V3. He wasn't sure at the jump, but down the line, it clicked. Unlike the other riders who went all in cyborg, Riderman's just a regular Joe with a high-tech arm. Matsuba ended up worshipping the guy, how he scrapped using smarts and that limb was straight fire. Makes Riderman top dog in his book, and Tojima can't help but ask if Matsuba cooked up the arm solo. The kid's dying to geek out on the build process, and Tojima's all ears for the nitty-gritty. No dice, though, the crew reminds them they gotta scram. The spider finds the whole bunch fascinating and puzzles over their deal. They book it out of there, but the spider ain't sweating. He beams a psychic command straight to Eucharis, waste Matsuba. She crumples under it, powerless to resist, and clocks him hard across the face. She unloads a storm of blows on him, so the others pile in to pull her off. Matsuba waves them back. This is his mess with Eucharis. She howls like a feral dog, and Matsuba pleads for her to shake it off. No good, she's gone, blank. She wrenches loose for round 2. Matsuba hits her with it again. He loves her. That freezes Eucharis cold. She battles the override raging in her veins. Matsuba says sorry for dodging his brother's question before. He's locked in now. Even if she's shocker through and through, he loves her anyway. Matsuba wants forever with her. So he drops it. Eucharis, let's get hitched. Our hero's minds shatter, and Eucharis dissolves into sobs. Happy ones, though, she breaks the spider's hold and chokes out that she loves him right back. They're mushy vibes off the charts, but the monster one-ups it. The spider shreds Matsuba's cables and busts loose. Matsuba's gutted, clueless on its next play. The spider's frame erupts with raw energy, its hulking muscles ripping the facade to confetti. Our heroes have never felt fear like this, their worst nightmare, as they clock that it's leveled up to its ultimate kaiju mode. The earth shakes under the monster's massive feet, and our heroes are paralyzed with fear as it rears up its claws for the kill. The beast snarls that they're all goners and lunges, but Euro dives in out of nowhere to block it. She throws herself in harm's way for Matsuba, yelling at him to get out, but the creature just flings her back into the group. The beast can't figure out this female fighter's sudden turn, but she stands her ground. She pleads with Matsuba to bolt and tells the monster she'll handle it solo. Naturally, in a squad of heroes, each one's ready to play martyr so the others can escape, but Tojima's the only voice they heed. He lays it out. In Kamen Rider Episode 13, Rider got his ass handed to him at first. But after grinding through more training, he squared off against a horde of zombie monsters. Didn't flinch once, he took them all down alone. That's when Tojima knew he had to be like Kamen Rider. The whole crew's floored as he roars that Kamen Rider never backs down, winding up for the mightiest rider punch of his life. His war whoop echoes for blocks, and this monster blow actually floors the shocker freak. The beast is still scratching its head over what the hell Tojima even is.
It spots bystanders gawking and mutters that it can't blow Shocker's cover over some dumb skirmish. It bails, but not before melting all the grunts into goo.
Tojima's barely keeping it together cause that showdown was the most epic thing he's ever lived through.
They hit a dive bar after, but the bartender flips when she sees Ikkyo, hollering "Big bro."
She's Futaba, Matsuba, and Ikkyo's big sis.
Runs the joint top to bottom, and she's grilling her brothers on what the hell they're doing in her place.
Ikkyo says he picked it on purpose cause it's been forever since he saw her. But Tojima's sharp instincts scream family drama, they're not tight.
There's heavy history here, and Matsuba spills that Futaba couldn't care less about Kamen Rider.
Ikkyo just wants a brew, but she snaps he's still blacklisted.
Matsuba tries smoothing it over by saying they're with pals, but she clocks M as more rider nuts. Wonders where these weirdos even spawned from, then catches herself she's gotta play nice with paying folks. Futaba caves a bit and hooks Matsuba up with a backroom for their booze up, but warns M to stay low-key. Any noise, and she'll make M wish they hadn't shown.
A few rounds in, Ikkyo toasts Tojima's beast-slaying rider punch.
Tojima owns it, that was his peak swing, and damn if all those training years ain't finally cashing out.
Yuro's baffled watching the dude slam beers and calls bullshit, not one rider on the show ever touched booze. Ikkyo tunes her out, got bigger fish. He cuts straight to his brother and Yukarisu, wedding time?
The pair's stunned he's pushing it here in the bar, but the vibe turns dead serious.
The group watches, jaws on the floor, as he launches into officiating the whole shebang. Thanks everybody for showing on this big day and says it's a trip celebrating his idiot brother's big yes. He's yapping too loud for Futaba, though, so she barks to drop the nutty rant and just order some grub. Ikkyo lays it out that he's playing wedding officiant for their brother's big day and figures Futaba oughta be front row for it. Matsuba introduces Yukarisu to his sis, and Futaba's like, these people are off their rockers. She jumps in anyway as a solid sibling and hits the timing perfect for Matsuba's vows. He says he couldn't be more stoked about tying the knot, but there's one loose end he's gotta tie up. Yukarisu figures it's her shocker ties, but Matsuba cuts her off, nope, that ain't it. He already made it crystal clear that didn't faze him when he popped the question. The real hang-up? Yukarisu never straight up said yes. He rushed it last time, so now he does it right, gets down on one knee and asks her to marry him. She finally breathes out a yes. It's pure magic, but Futaba's still scratching her head over this pack of weirdos. The rest of the crew's beaming for M, and the stand-in preacher declares M hitched. The other heroes pipe up with intros to Futaba, and she's just wondering what's broken in their heads. Yukarisu owns up that she's a shocker grunt and spills how she ended up here. Her gig was always spying on folks in the know about Shocker, which is why she hit up Matsuba for a date. She was thrown by how fast he jumped at it. But that's Matsuba all over. He yapped non-stop about Kamen Rider, zeroing in on how Riderman stood apart from the pack. It threw her at first, but soon Yukarisu dug how fired up he got geeking over Kamen Rider. Looking back, she bets that's what snapped Shocker's mind control. Downside, they could offer any time. But Matsuba swears he'll guard her with everything he's got. Their love's off the charts, but Futaba calls M all loons and wants zero smoke. She turns to split, but Ikkyo figures their bonehead sis should toss in a few words. Futaba hates the dig, so she proves she's every bit the scrapper her brothers are by kneeing Ikkyo square in his goofy mug. Ikkyo clocks that he'll need to Henshin before it blows up for real. But the heroes shut that down, he'd trash the whole joint. Futaba boots him in the kisser, but he flashes that he powered up just in time. She gripes he looks the exact same, but okay, she'll spit some words. Except they're aimed at Ikkyo, she's unloading a decade of bottled rage. It's been 10 years since 2nd grade, and she's still iced out by folks thanks to Ikkyo's idiot stunts. Flashback, he'd always clown her in front of her pals, yelling at M to gear up like shocker goons for battle. Futaba's friends scattered every time. Ikkyo shrugs that he was battling Shocker, but Futaba fires back his writer fixation turned her into a pariah. She got treated like a sideshow freak cause of him. So now she vents it all, pounding Ikkyo senseless. Futaba drops that his crap haunted her straight through high school grad. Not once did she have a real friend. All Ikkyo's fault, and now he drags his posse to her bar? She starts throttling him, but Matsuba steps in. Futaba high-fives Matsuba. She's genuinely thrilled for his wedding, but Ikkyo? Whole different story. He wrecked her life, and she'll never let that slide. Ikkyo busts out his V3 breakaway and proves he's the same old him, yelling they're still at war with Shocker. Futaba's done with his ass. But she's got one last zinger. She stuns the room by decking Ikkyo while dubbing at her, "Hurry up and order snacks, strike." After, Ikkyo sizes up their squad. Besides him, they've got Kamen Rider, Electro-Human Tackle, Riderman, and a Lady Shocker defector. Ikkyo double-checks if Yukarisu's down to throw down against Shocker, and she's all in, as long as it means sticking with Matsuba. It's all thanks to them she's broken free. So, she swears she'll give it her all. Ikkyo chimes in that the Ultimate Squad's gathered to smash Shocker, so they gotta hash out a strategy. Might drag on, so the buzzed Ikkyo flags down another pitcher. Meanwhile, two crews of hoodlums close a dope deal. The buyer's Matsuno, and his guys are scaling the stash. The seller's Ryota, with his crew tallying the cash. Matsuno wants to spice up the downtime, so he pitches some classic thug fun. He gripes how mobsters don't scrap like the old days and bets one of his boys against one of Ryota's. Ryota's thrown, so he pulls his men if anyone's game for a brawl. Hands shoot up, but it's obvious nobody's truly hyped. That flips quick when Matsuno flashes the prize for a win, and suddenly they're all itching to step up. Ryota figures Matsuno's got a legit tank lined up, and Matsuno nods, he does. He hollers for one of his dudes to fetch Naka, cutting into Naka's huddle with his own lowlifes. They're all sulking after another flop, and Naka's stumped on what's jinxed him. They've even dipped into phone cons, but zilch pans out. Right then, the summons hits, and Naka hams it up. Never figured the boss would pull the trigger. He's bracing for his curtain call, flashing back on the rush of rocking that monster mask in their Shocker hits. He tells his crew to gorge at some spot once he's through with this dust-up, and they're all in. Naka rolls up, and Ryota sizes him as a grizzled pro. He asks Naka's age, and the guy drops he's 44. That's ancient compared to Ryota, so he questions if Naka can hang against a prime punk. Matsuno brushes it off and spells the stakes: whoever drops Naka pockets $1 million. But if Naka flattens all three, the cash is his. Saitama jumps first, boasting he wrestled judo through junior and senior high, even sniffed nationals his last year. He's sure the dough's as good as his and asks if it's taps or subs to seal it, but Matsuno snaps to get on with it, the victor'll be plain. Saitama struts in cocky, but Naka unloads a beatdown. Nothing fancy, just a barrage of face shots that leaves the kid a ragdoll. Naka spells victory by flattening Saitama cold and beckons the next. Rockley steps up, unfazed, claiming he's a retired boxer. He demos a jab that connects and tells Naka to ditch the specs before he shatters M. Naka hands M over cool as ice, then cracks Rockley's dome with a brutal headbutt. Naka's up again, one left. Ushio's the final shot, a has-been sumo slob who brags toppling him won't be a cakewalk. Naka just nuts him with a low kick, he gaped wide, and polishes with a face cracker. Naka bags the mill, but Ryota's itching to test his ace. He ups the ante to 5 mil if Naka pulls it off, though Matsuno warns against wagering most of their deal haul. Ryota's locked in, though, calls this next beast untouchable. That hooks Matsuno, who checks if Naka's down for the heat. Naka is, so out comes the foe. It's a jaw-dropper, the morphing Shocker kaiju. And he looms in, dubbing himself Komodo. Matsuno's skeptical if this Komodo character's really Ryota's secret weapon and asks Naka for his read on the guy. Naka eyes Komodo up close and gets this weird vibe off him. It ain't straight-up killer instinct, but something's humming, and Naka can't pin it. He admits Komodo looks plenty dangerous. Matsuno's pumped to see who comes out on top in the scrap. The pair squares up, but gunfire cracks the air and kills the mood. Naka's crew piles in to shield him, and Naka's gut drops when he spots the shooter. The raider hollers for his backup cause he's locked on the mark. Naka dives to cover his boys from the lead storm, but the rest ain't so lucky. The invaders mow down everyone else in sight, so Naka stalls for seconds. He shoves back the attackers and yells for his team to grab the boss and bail. Naka hustles M clear,
and the gunman just let M vanish. These clowns were only after the dope and the deal cash anyway. So they scoop it up. Bad call on their end, though. We catch Komodo shrugging off a point-blank headshot like it's nothing. Nearby, Naka's squad's reeling over the chaos. Naka breaks it down, straight robbery, no shocker ties. Pops still echo from the next room, so Naka peels off some bills. Tells M to hit that restaurant solo cause he ain't walking away from this. He'll make the bastards bleed for crashing the party. Naka orders his guys to ghost now and swears he'll link up later. Back in the kill zone, the raiders freak when Komodo stirs. They unload a fresh clip into him and can't fathom why the dude won't drop. Komodo's let down by their amateur hour and figures he's got no play left. Terror floods the space as Komodo hulks out into the spider fiend. Naka's glued from the doorway, mind blown at a genuine shocker kaiju in the flesh. He's rooted, helpless, as it shreds the gunman to ribbons. The beast zeroes in on Naka, and his whole life starts replaying in flashes. He's lost on the trip, but it hits. This is the endgame reel. Flashback, young Naka's glued to Kamen Rider, hollering for Rider to crush Shocker. His pops, a street cart slinger named Okatada, one day swears he's nailed the breakthrough. A killer taiyaki twist, and he's betting it's his ticket out. Naka chows down and nods, it's fire. Okatada beams it's unlike any batch before, super thin batter, jammed edge to edge with red bean goo. Swapped in shoe for that airy bite, scored a bespoke mold to nail the slim profile. Fried it crepe quick for crunch, then stuffed it silly with silkier paste. Jacked the price tag, sure, but tiny sizes balance the books. Okatada rhapsodizes biting ends like a tender tryst with the red bean queen, though Naka blanks on the reference. Okatada's riding high on the tweak, even dreaming it'll lure Naka's mom back home. The more he mulls, the surer he gets. Naka catches the spark too, hoping she'll return. Okatada dubs it super stuffed red bean taiyaki and hypes it as their golden road ahead. Naka's buzzing and asks if a smash means Pops'll snag him the Rider Morph toys. Okatada's all yes, anything you want, and demos the tagline, life's like red bean paste, savor it tip to tail. Father and son are sky high, but reality crashes when zero marks hit the cart. Not even Okatada's flashy banners or hook could reel M. Naka starts sweating if they're sunk, but Okatada quotes the slogan back, gotta relish it head to heel. Naka stays upbeat, betting tomorrow's the day. Okatada draws fire from his kid's grit and counts the hours. Days blur, though, and Okatada's gutted, no sales. Later, Naka's beaming over a painted mask he whipped up. He rushes to show Pops coming home, but freezes at the rando with him. Okatada just says taiyaki days are done, he's shacking up with this chick now. Naka's lost on who she is, so she lays it bare. Okatada's drowning in red ink, so she's got him leashed as her errand boy. Naka doesn't get the dog bit, and Okatada confirms it's literal. The lady says she'd hate loose ends with Naka, so she dragged Okatada here for the sign-off. That's her max mercy. Then she tells Okatada she'll be idling at the pad. Okatada pleads with Naka not to dig for more info and just says this'll wipe his debts clean. But it means splitting up, so he tells Naka to crash with Grandpa. Naka begs to stick with his dad, but it's pointless. Okatada's backed into a corner, so he shoves Naka away, and the mask the kid painted with such glee moments ago shatters underfoot. Sometime later, Naka's whole vibe has flipped. He spots a gang of boys goofing around as Kamen Rider, but they're all scrambling to play Rider, no takers for Shocker. Naka asks why they're all gunning for Rider, but the kids stare like he's nuts. Duh, they say Rider's the hero, the real deal superhero. Naka's innocent spark is snuffed out cold as he mutters that good guy capes don't actually exist. He tells M he'll take Shocker solo, and they can all be Riders. The boys are baffled, so Naka doubles down, he'll be the whole damn Shocker army by himself. They fire back he's got it twisted, one Rider always holds the line against waves of Shocker goons. Rider stands up for the little guy and keeps the monsters at bay. That line guts Naka deep, and the kids gawk as tears hit his cheeks. They rag on him for bawling, but Naka can't damn the hurt. His old man busted his ass to turn things around, gave every ounce, and it still tanked. In the end, no hero swooped in to save M, not even a do-gooder with a cape. Eyes stinging, chest aching, Naka tells the crew to pipe down and listen good. There's no such thing as heroes or good guys, and that's why he's picking Shocker. Makes him tough enough to roll solo, no handouts needed.
Naka means every word.
He snarls at the writer wannabes to brace for war.
Back in the now, Naka clings to those lines like a lifeline.
Too bad it's his final flash, the Shocker beast's arm skewers clean through his ribs. Naka's spark dims fast, but he's got one last gasp. This thing's pure Shocker kaiju, so he wheezes for it to recruit him. The monster stays mum, so Naka begs over and over to enlist.
Curtains dropping quick.
With his dying breath, he musters the Shocker stance and croaks for a spot in the ranks. No dice, the fiend's stone silent, and Naka fades out.
Meanwhile, Naka's crew's stuffing faces at a diner, just like he ordered.
Food's a solid distraction for a beat, but then it sinks in, boss was in the crosshairs.
They're gutted and helpless, figuring they'll just wait and pray he shows. So they dive back into the chow. Elsewhere, Naka jolts awake, mind fried.
He swears death claimed him seconds ago, no clue how he's breathing. He links up with his squad, and they recoil at the gore soaking him.
Naka shocks them by saying he's fine, though the whole blackout's a blank.
The server slaps the bill down, 300,000 yen, and Naka shells out the stack he'd fronted the guys.
He gapes, who the hell inhales that much grub?
They shrug, they aim to burn every yen he tossed him.
Naka's irked at first, but nah, it's cool, ain't much else they score from riding with him. The crew insists they dig the gig anyway. Naka racks his brain on the blackout and all that surfaces is the Shocker pose.
He demos it on reflex, and the guy's eyes bug as he morphs into a full-on Shocker grunt.
Naka's lost on the how, and they flag the street full of rubberneckers.
Beg him to snap back normal, but he's clueless if it's reversible.
Luck holds, he reverts smooth.
They push for another Shocker flip, and yep, the pose toggles it free as he likes.
The squad's in awe of their boss.
Naturally, they grill how his threads don't shred, and Naka figures it's prime Shocker engineering.
He pieces it, yeah, he flatlined back there, but somehow rebooted as official Shocker.
It's a total head-scratcher, but Naka muses maybe his kid dreams locked in after all. The guys egg him on for one more shift and note they've never seen him lit up like this. They're hyped, toasting their leader, even mimicking the Shocker stance in sync.
Naka beams with pride, this is how the pros roll. He hits the pose and transforms once more.
Ishigaya brags he tips the scales at 250 pounds, so he jokes if Naka's got the juice to scoop him up bridal style. Naka flexes and hauls him easy, and now the rest of the crew's clamoring for rides too.
Naka plays along, but they're absolute units, he's gassed quick.
Ashi figures they oughta refuel anyway, and Naka reminds them they just demolished 300,000 yen in chow, but Ishigaya counters that sweets hit a whole separate tank. The mood dips heavy, though, when Toshi asks what's next for their outfit. Their top dog bit it in the shootout, so Naka figures the whole operation's toast, probably disbanding. The guys shrug it off and swear they'll ride with Naka till the wheels fall off.
They dive into a pile of taiyaki to toast the bond, but Naka cuts in.
He says from here on, they're all square citizens, no more life of crime. They balk hard. Naka levels with them, nothing lasts forever, and sometimes in means lights out for good. But these punks are still green, they've got years to pivot and rebuild. They dig in their heels, and Toshi shuts him up by cramming a taiyaki in his yap.
Naka's blown away by the taste, it's dead on the childhood batch he remembers, so he's grilling him on the source.
Ishigaya says it's right around the corner and nods at a nearby cart. The old vendor's catching heat from a pack of goons grilling him on why he's hawking in their zone. The guy insists he cleared it legit, but the punks don't give a damn, they just want a cut. Naka crashes the party, and the thugs clock him as the guy who soloed 5 of their boys. One's even from that beatdown crew ants itching for payback, but Naka tunes him out cold. He's zeroed on the stand, gut-punched by the faded banners, exact matches from kid days, slogans and all. And there's his old man, slinging the same grub. Pops just asks the lowlifes not to wreck shop in front of his rig, and Naka's tongue-tied. Decades since they crossed paths, he can't even guess the hell his dad endured. What shreds Naka deepest? After all that wreckage, the guy's back at square one, peddling taiyaki. It slams Naka with memories of his own lines, how he had zero dreams, no spark left.
Hits him now, he just figured he didn't need M. But his father? Never quit, not after the roof caved in.
World in ruins, and he kept swinging.
Naka cracks wide open, tears flowing free.
The goons couldn't care less about the waterworks, they start trashing Okatada's cart.
Naka snaps at M to quit it, but the leader blames the geezer for poaching their turf.
Okatada insists he got the green light, but the punk sneers the crew that okayed him's long gone, busted up.
Naka's world tilts, that's his old gang's beat they're on.
Means these clowns tied back to the shooters who iced his operation.
Naka's got a bulletin, his crew ain't kaput, he's still kicking.
The thugs figure they'll just add him to the list.
Big misstep. Naka snatches the lead's bat mid-swing and turns it on him hard. The boss pivots to his heavy hitter, Yamahiko, and orders the wipeout. Naka shoulders the leader clear and locks eyes with Yamahiko.
The brute's a walking wall, shrugs off Naka's shots like rain and pounds him to paste.
Yamahiko's almost impressed the guy's still twitching and asks what Naka used to chase back in the day. Naka admits he had a kid dream that just locked in. Yamahiko shrugs, playtime's over.
Naka flips the script with a henshin, and Yamahiko's paralyzed, too slow to react.
Naka clamps the tiger driver and plants him face-first into the pavement. The goons are toast, and Naka tells Okatada to gift-wrap him for the badges. Pops exhales huge when Naka adds he's good to keep slinging here uninterrupted. Naka skips the big reveal and just says he sampled the taiyaki.
Calls it killer, with this warm throwback vibe.
Wishes the old-timer luck and starts peeling out. Okatada begs for a name, but Naka can't drop it.
Instead, he spins dramatic and owns it, just a shocker grunt blowing through town.
Next morning, Tojima's floored by the headline on what went down. Shocker Savior steps up. But the squad ain't buying a villain as the White Knight. Tojima's scratching his head over whether a Shocker hero's legit now, but Ikkyo shuts that down cold, ain't no such thing.
Yukarisu pipes up, kinda offended since she's sorta on the good side these days. Owning good guy might be a stretch though, so she pivots, she's Matsuba's sweet, loving wife.
Ikkyo finally gives her a nod, but there's bigger fish to fry. He drags up the spider kaiju and asks if anybody figures they can actually drop a beast like that. Yukarisu warns it's flat out impossible for regular folks to take down monsters, but Ikkyo's got this fresh spark. He spotlights the one dude who floored the thing, Tojima. Ikkyo floors the room, though, by saying he's gotta smoke Tojima first.
Their scrap back then never wrapped clean, they still gotta settle who's the top common rider.
This nutjob ain't finished, either, he pushes for a full-on tourney to crown the strongest in the whole crew.
Everybody's like, what the hell, but he's still going and flags the server for another round to wet his whistle.
He quizzes the group, what's common rider's move against an impossible enemy?
They nail it, train harder.
Spot on. That's his blueprint. After 10 days of solo grinding, the 5 of them regroup and throw down in the bracket.
Yukarisu's baffled why she's looped in, but it's a done deal, the rest are already hyped. She calls them all unhinged, pointing out their teammates, but Matsuba lays out the logic, sparring each other blasts through personal walls.
In a perfect world, they'll grind one another till they're monster ready. That's Ikkyo's angle exactly. But Yukarisu's still convinced they're off the rails.
As they split for the 10-day stretch, Tojima eyes Ikkyo's ride with awe. Ikkyo dubs it Hurricane and shows off the kid bike mask rigged to the handlebars from his childhood.
Tojima's mind blown when Ikkyo demos how it even blows. Meanwhile, Naka's crew wraps up a concert, buzzing. Another dude heads out too, but a creepy lady blocks his path. This guy's Tanaka, and she knows him somehow. His buddies wonder if she's his girl, but she's giving off major bad vibes. Her killer stare chills Tanaka to the bone, so he tells his pals to bounce ahead. Swears he's good, and they buy it, saying they'll hold at their hangout. The towering woman closes in on Tanaka and demands why his shocker mind wipe fizzled. Tanaka just says she'd never get it, but he knows he's in deep shit. He ain't folding easy, though. They both henshin, geared for war.
Tanaka swears he'll enter, but she crushes him with a hook that spins his head clean around. cut to a woman killing time for her guy outside his spot. Turns out he's in the John, sweating the ideal proposal play, straight hand off the ring, or slip it on while her eyes are shut? He's a wreck, but nightmare fuel hits, a hulking woman materializes behind him. She growls why his brainwashing's kaput. He snaps it's not her lane. They morph on the spot, and their clash blows the place sky high. Outside, the girl's tapping her foot on the delay, clueless her man's gone for good. Seconds later, a dude named Takagi's on the phone, promising his kid a cake haul, when the woman pops up. Takagi ditches the call, and the voice on the line, his daughter, yells for dad. No answer from Takagi, but he ain't quitting quiet. He's caught wind of shocker calls on failed mind slaves. Figures she's the enforcer, and he's right. The woman's kinda impressed, he pulled off marriage and a family gig while grunting for shocker. She drops she knows his address, but Takagi ain't fazed. Bet she couldn't grasp family life, says it's rougher than global takeover. She presses on the brainwash glitch, and he finally spills, love did it. The words Greek to her, and Takagi can't break it down. Just knows if she ever tasted it, she'd find real joy too. The chatter wraps up fast, though, as Takagi henshins and they dive into the fray. Takagi's a cut above the usual grunts, and he spells out why. He says a fighter's power mirrors their baseline human grit. Takagi actually tags the giant for real damage, and she snaps, demanding what any of that's got to do with their scrap. He lays it out, it's key cause he pulled time in the French Foreign Legion. Takagi then crushes her with a haymaker straight to the jaw. He adds the Legion's an elite war machine, so no grunt stands a shot against him. The giant keeps swinging wild, but she's got zero chance, this guy's untouchable, landing blow after blow. Takagi roars he's got a family he's battling to shield, and loves the fuel firing his edge. Takagi's owning the ring now. So he coils for the kill shot. He shouts he's never felt more alive, and that joy's pumped him strong enough to drop even a shocker kaiju. Too bad it's all bullshit, a monster plummets from the clouds and snuffs his spark. The beast growls Takagi should have known his place, and the giant drops to her knees before it. She hails it as Master Batman, and the thing chomps its own limb. It dubs her Thunder Reiko and orders her to guzzle its blood for a power-up. The woman bows deep in thanks and starts chugging. Next morning, Ikkyo's tangling with Spider-Man again. Sadly, the freak toys with him easy, but Ikkyo yells he ain't tapped out. He switches up his rush this time, but the beast carves his chest wide open once more. Ikkyo damns himself for bombing round after round, and he flashes on how Tojima somehow rocked the spider back. Ikkyo's wired to dominate every damn thing, so he bellows with everything he's got that he won't go down. Meanwhile, some dudes at the park clock Ikkyo and puzzle over his deal. They figure he's the caretaker or something cause he's been grinding forever, but they can't get why he's mumbling to thin air. Ikkyo's been drilling mental reps for hours and spooks them by snarling curses at Shocker. Across town, Yuro's putting in work too, but hers is straight-laced. She's hammering a heavy bag nonstop, barking at herself to crank the speed. Yuro insists she's gotta shatter her ceilings quick, or she'll never tag a monster. Her aim's boosting velocity and precision for a fresh spin on the electro wave toss. It'll be her deadliest yet, a total original. Elsewhere, Matsuba's sparring with Yukarisu, and he floors her clean. Yukarisu's floored by her hubby, she can't even grace him in a tussle. Matsuba owns he can't hang with her raw power. And it's a joke next to a kaiju. That's why he can't gamble on eating even one hit. Matsuba's hellbent on maxing his hand-to-hand game, but Yukarisu wonders why he's benching the arm blaster. He's saving it for beast mode, sure, but not the next bout. For the bracket, he wants to eclipse his brother Pure Style, with the martial mastery he's honed to a razor's edge. Otherwise, he can't call himself top dog. Yukarisu's head over heels for him and even buys Riderman as the GOAT. Her logic? He can lock lips with her. Yukarisu's smooch KOs him cold, and Matsuba gripes he wishes Riderman had a full helmet. Deep in the woods, Tojima's blasting his practice tree. Tojima reflects on his low-key grind, 40 solid years of routine, nothing wild. He never figured his world would flip this hard. Tojima's over the moon as he shreds the bark, grinning that he tangled with Shocker. Hell, he even shoved a monster off balance.
Tojima ain't pumping the brakes now, though he's still gunning to bury Shocker.
Right then, a pissed-off bear bursts out, and Tojima hails his old rival. Same grizzly he scarred last time, and it's foaming mad.
Tojima offers a rematch and says no grudges if it ends in blood. Tojima then transforms into Kamen Rider and he tells the bear to bring it on.
The bear immediately charges at him, but Tojima lands an absolute haymaker right in its face.
The bear is even shocked as it realizes that Tojima really isn't a human after all. The bear apparently has a lot of pride though, as it can't even imagine losing to a human. The bear Sadak sends Tojima crashing backwards, but our hero is quick with a counterattack.
The two go back and forth exchanging blows, but Tojima eventually gains the upper hand with another punch. The bear becomes furious as it reminds itself that it's the king of the forest and refuses to lose.
Just then, Tojima launches himself off a tree and prepares his powerful rider kick.
The bear's inner monologue kicks in once again, and he dramatically explains that his body feels like it's about to move against his will. The bear can't explain why, but he assumes that it's some kind of primal instinct, a natural action to take when faced against someone stronger.
The bear can't stop its primal instinct.
But instead of it being some kind of vicious attack, the bear simply assumes a position of submission that signals defeat.
Unfortunately, Tojima doesn't show any signs of stopping, and the bear can't understand why its submission pose isn't working. Tojima lands the powerful kick right in the bear's chest, and the poor bear wonders where it went wrong.
The bear can only run away now, and Tojima looks forward to the next time they see each other. After a long day, Tojima takes a moment to look at his mask and admire the setting sun.
10 days later, the heroes meet up again at Ikkyo's house.
This place is really out in the wilderness, and everyone had to take a train and Abus to get here. It was a 3-hour-long trip, and Yuro can only wonder if Aio rides his bicycle all the way out there.
Mituba confirms that this is the case because Aio never uses trains or buses.
He doesn't even have a car or a cell phone. As they approach the house, Mitsuba explains that Aikyo is living self-sufficiently.
Ikkyo welcomes his guests and explains that he has built a ring for them to fight in.
He takes him there, but Yuro points out that this isn't a ring at all and it's more like a patch of his yard. Ikkyo declares that it wasn't easy building this because he had to borrow a roller from a local middle school to set it all up.
It'll be more than enough for what they need.
So Ikkyo tells them that it's time to begin. First, they will have to draw lots and Tojima is the first to draw. The sticks all have numbers on them and Ikkyo instructs them to write their name under the number in the bracket that matches the number on their stick. Arrow is number 1 and Tojima's number 2. Ikkyo's number 3, so Tojima points out that the two of them will get to settle their battle in the first round. Another first round matchup has Mitsuba fighting Yukariso, but Yukariso doesn't want to fight her husband.
Ikkyo declares that the matchups don't matter and the point is to simply do battle.
The tournament is just a formality because Aio says that he's going to win anyway. Once he wins the entire thing, Aikyo says that he's willing to accept any challenges. He will accept them from anyone and as many times as necessary when there are no contenders left that will prove who is the strongest. Yukariso once again thinks about how crazy he is, but all the others are ready for battle. Yukariso still refuses to fight her husband, so everyone is shocked when Ai just gives in and agrees to change it.
He wonders if she will be okay with fighting Tojima, and she has no problem with it.
He wonders if she will fight Yuro, and she's actually eager to fight her. Ikkyo finally wonders if she will fight him, so she points out that she will fight anyone who isn't Mitsuba.
If she does fight Mitsuba, then it will have to be in the finals.
Yukariso is just as crazy as the rest of them as she romanticizes the thought. Seeing Mitsuba fight desperately to meet her in the finals is like a dream for her. Him getting all torn up and battle damage would be super romantic in her eyes.
She imagines herself kissing him into submission and comforting him into defeat.
Everyone is shocked by her crazy side and Aikyo announces that he has made his decision.
Yukariso will be facing Tojima.
So she tells Tojima to say his prayers. Ikkyo makes the Changesto the bracket and he tells Tojima that they will meet in the finals.
Tojima is totally fine with it.
So Ikkyo turns Tohi's current opponent. It's Mitsuba and the brothers are eager to settle their own battle.
The first match is Tojima vs Yukariso. So the two of them make their way into the ring.
Yuro can tell that everyone has gotten much stronger, but she vows to win the whole tournament.
Tojima and Yukariso stare each other down as Akio steps in to announce the match. Tojima excitedly admits he's thrilled to fight her because she's part of the real Shocker.
Yukariso warns him not to fall in love with her, yet she's thrown off when Tojima suddenly acts weird. He asks her to transform into her combat form, and when she hesitates, he literally drops to his hands and knees to beg. Embarrassed, Yukariso finally agrees.
Tojima eagerly waits for the big reveal, only to be disappointed when she starts doing a cute, silly routine.
They argue until Ikio reminds them there's supposed to be an actual fight happening.
Annoyed, Yukariso finally transforms for real and threatens Tojima, but that's exactly what he wanted.
He drops his obsession, gets serious, and begins his own transformation. Everyone is stunned as he becomes Rider, completely different from before. Yukariso trembles as he charges a Rider punch, and she takes the full hit. The blow sends her flying and knocks her out cold.
Matsuba screams for his fiancée, sobbing uncontrollably, while Akio announces Tojima as the winner.
Next up is Mitsuba's fight, but he's too worried about Yukariso.
In a dramatic moment, he kisses her awake.
Yukariso melts and begs for more kisses until Ikio is forced to break them apart. Suddenly, Ikio declares that he and Mitsuba will fight right away. He wants to beat some sense into him.
Mitsuba lays Yukariso down gently and prepares himself, announcing that he is now Riderman.
He reminds Ikio that the last time they fought seriously, in 8th grade, Ikio broke his arm. Ikio replies that with real Shocker monsters coming, neither of them can afford to lose.
Ikio transforms into V3 and launches the fight.
He dashes in at Mach speed, but Mitsuba shocks everyone by flipping him instantly.
Ikio admits Mitsuba is way stronger than he expected.
Ikio then does the classic hero walk, an old-school rider technique used to gauge distance. Mitsuba can't help admiring him, remembering how he trained for years hoping to surpass him, but never could. He explains how he used to dislike Riderman, his strange costume, the exposed mouth, the vulnerability. But now, he embraces the identity completely. Unlike other riders, Riderman isn't a full cyborg, only his suit enhances him. Yet despite being less enhanced, Riderman once sacrificed himself to save Japan. Remembering that, Mitsuba's eyes well up, because now, he truly feels proud to carry that name. Mitsuba declares with unwavering conviction that Riderman is the greatest of all riders, and he genuinely believes it with every fiber of his being. His passion impresses everyone watching, and it becomes clear that both brothers have completely transformed into the heroes they were meant to embody. Their battle intensifies as Ikio once again moves at Mach speed, but this time he refuses to be thrown like before. Using Mitsuba's head as a springboard, he launches himself into the sky and unleashes a breathtaking rotating kick, leaving the entire group stunned. Yet Mitsuba survives, having jumped back at the perfect moment to reduce the impact, though the brief exchange leaves both fighters breathless. Mitsuba realizes he momentarily lost focus while admiring how cool Ikio looked, so he sharpens his senses, expanding his awareness into a 2-meter radius around his body, treating the space like an extension of himself. The moment Ikio steps into this invisible zone, Mitsuba reacts instantly and destroys him with a powerful counter. Ikio manages to break free, and the brothers continue clashing in a high-speed, high-stakes exchange of blows. At one point Tojima weirdly admires the dirt beneath them, explaining that riders always end up fighting on dusty ground, while the brothers continue to amaze everyone with their technique, force, and perfect counters. Ikio finally admits that Mitsuba's martial arts mastery is genuinely impressive, but because of this, he decides he must become even more V3. Chanting more V3, over and over, he leaps skyward and unleashes his devastating triple V3 punch, a blow powerful enough to crush Mitsuba's skull, yet Mitsuba dodges at the last possible moment and sends his brother flying. Even so, Ikio refuses to fall, rising shakily to warn Mitsuba not to drop his guard. He charges again with another V3 punch, but Mitsuba counters even faster than before. Mitsuba then announces the fight is over and vows that this time he will be the one to break Ikio's arm, but Ikio mocks him, saying he should have done it earlier, because now it's too late. With sudden ferocity, Ikio breaks free and unleashes the V3 electric heat chop. Mitsuba blocks it, but the shock tears through his entire body, leaving him in unbearable pain. Confused, he wonders how Ikio learned a technique like Baguha Zhang, but Ikkyo insists he doesn't even know what that is. Mitsuba suddenly understands the truth. Ikkyo has mimicked V3's combat style so perfectly, so naturally, that he's using high-level martial arts without even realizing it. Mitsuba curses himself for underestimating him. Ikkyo praises Mitsuba's martial arts training but says it's still not enough, because Mitsuba simply doesn't have enough rider. Tojima nods as if he understands completely, while Yuro remains completely lost. Ikkyo demands Mitsuba show him more rider, and though Mitsuba grows angry, he slowly begins to realize what his brother means. Ikkyo screams rider from the depths of his soul, and Mitsuba answers the cry with a scream of his own. The brothers charge each other at full force, shouting rider punch as their fists collide. When the dust settles, Mitsuba sees Ikkyo smiling, a terrifying, relentless smile, proving he isn't done yet. Mitsuba rips off his shirt, declaring with absolute pride that Rider Man is the greatest rider of all time. He leaps into the air and charges his most powerful attack. Ikkyo finally understands what Mitsuba is doing and actually encourages him. Mitsuba's finishing kick lands squarely, utterly crushing Ikkyo and bringing Tojima to tears. Ikkyo loses consciousness, and Tojima proudly declares that Rider Man has won the fight. As Tojima prepares to face Tackle next, Ikkyo suddenly regains consciousness, looking strangely proud that Mitsuba managed to defeat him. Mitsuba is overwhelmed by the acknowledgement he has longed for. Yukariso wakes moments later, shocked and then delighted to hear Mitsuba actually beat Ikkyo. She bursts into hysterical laughter and mocks Ikkyo ruthlessly until he shuts her up with a single glare. He then tells Mitsuba that he is now a proper rider, a recognition that fills Mitsuba with joy. Yukariso protests that she wants to be a proper rider too, but Ikkyo reminds her that she's already a real shocker. The realization only makes her feel worse, since she still lost her match. Meanwhile, Tojima and Yuro transform into their respective rider forms and lower into their battle stances. Yukariso mocks Yuro again for calling herself Tak instead of Tackle, but Ikkyo tells her not to underestimate them, because the two people standing before them now are undeniably Kamen Rider and Tackle.